Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football. Welcome back to a brand new video. I hope all of you are doing well. It's a new day, therefore it means there's new Chelsea owner news. That's just the way it's going right now. This whole international break, I don't think anything else is happening except for that rumour I heard earlier on that Arsenal might be after Marcus Rashford. I think there's a few Arsenal fans that don't quite feel happy about that. I think there are a few United fans that would be happy to see that deal go through if the money's right. Because Rashford, I look at Rashford and I think, and I'm going on a bit of a tangent about Rashford here, the way that Walcott stagnated, and we thought he would be at one time, we thought, he's going to turn into the next best thing, and then he just stopped developing, is the same thing that we're seeing in Rashford, although I think Rashford has gone a bit further than Walcott did. But Rashford, what's happened to him? What's happened to him? Anyway, apart from that though, nothing else is happening in the world of football. All internationals, nothing really major is going on there at the moment, except for the teams that have made it to the World Cup, the teams trying to make it to the World Cup, and the teams that have dropped out and are not making it to the World Cup, like Italy, for example. Apart from that, it's all Chelsea. So we're going to dive in and see exactly what's been said today. Now, I want to focus on, at the end of what I'm about to show you, there's one certain thread which I've come across, and I feel like it's very, very good information for all of us to know in terms of who the club could be in the hands of running forward. All of them and what they bring to the table. Some good analysis, I feel. So we're going to get into that. But firstly, let's hear from Matt Law and what is the latest in and around Chelsea today. The mystery and uncertainty of the current ability for Sir Martin Broughton's consortium and Stephen Pagliuca to complete a deal for Chelsea leaves Todd Boehly's party as front runners. Now, excuse the reply down below. Someone's a bit too excited. But Sir Martin Broughton's consortium, for me, from the moment that was formed, it just seemed a little too cloudy. It's vague. I don't quite know who's backing that consortium. You know, which consortium is it? Who's involved? Like, what is going on, realistically? Because it's being put forward as if it's Sir Martin Broughton and Sebastian Coe who are, you know, leading this. But their value together comes to like peanuts. We're talking millions, not even in the billions. And I know that makes it sound like millionaires are broke. They're not. But when you're talking about acquiring Chelsea Football Club, at first, they didn't have the sufficient amount of backing, and then all of a sudden they do. So we're talking how many parties are involved in that consortium, and where are they all based, and what's going on? And we haven't really had clear transparency in that, despite them making it on the shortlist. So it's it feels a little bit vague. It feels a little bit too scattered. With Pagliuca, who is part owner of the Boston Celtics, as I've said yesterday, he's in a group of about 12 or 13 different owners of that team in the United States. So he's not the sole owner. For Atalanta, he only recently acquired 55% of Atalanta, as I've said, who are based in Syria. So there's that. Todd Boehly, though, you could just see from the get-go, you knew exactly what you were getting with him. You knew exactly what you were getting. We had Todd Boehly, Wyss, Goldstein. Main three guys, one of them is a Spurs fan. That's the one thing that turned me off about it. But when I look in comparison to all the other issues in the other bidders, I'm like, okay, you know what? I might take it. But apart from that, three guys, and then they're getting backing from various sources, and that's making the consortium, and we kind of understand what's going on there. So that looks quite well structured. But the latest is that with the mystery and uncertainty, as Matt Laws put it, Sir Martin Broughton's consortium and Stephen Pagliuca, we don't quite really know. So Todd Boehly right now, front runner, possible. Let's keep diving in and see what else has been said. This is from Matt Law. Sources close to Stephen Pagliuca claim he is prevented from making public the details of his Chelsea bid by non-disclosure agreements. Now, this might seem like a bad thing, but I quite like it. Yeah, I quite like it. You know, I like it when it's quiet. I like when someone doesn't have to come and put all their cards on the table, which is why I was a little bit worried about Nick Candy and the South Korean investment fund, because they literally, like, that Catalina Kim woman came on Twitter and started talking to Chelsea fans about everything. Like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. You're on Twitter, love. Relax. You know, as Matisse put it so eloquently, you know, don't reply to accounts that have like Pacey Pulisic as their username, or, you know, Speedy Hudson-Odoi, or no, you know, Speedy Cho. No. So look, that was one of the things that really, really did not make me like their bid. The fact that Stephen Pagliuca is probably forced because of non-disclosure agreements, it's a wise move from whoever put that agreement in place. Smart. But as I've said, he's well equipped. He's run a sports team in the United States, quite successful, the Boston Celtics. He runs Atalanta. We've seen the growth in Atalanta. The fact that they finished third in Serie A last season, they've been playing in the Champions League. They look like they've been coming places. They caused some shock results, if you remember as well. So that's a good thing. Anyway. Can he run Chelsea Football Club? At least he's got some experience. Moving on to what has been said in relation to the government, fans, and all of that. This is from Sam Wallace of The Telegraph, who is writing for the same newspaper, Telegraph, or same news outlet as Matt Law. So, check this out. He says, what the supporters say in the last few weeks will be heard in government, and the louder they say it, the better. Which is encouraging. And if we go to Simon Phillips, who quotes Ben Jacobs, he's saying Boehly and Broughton are the leading two contenders to buy Chelsea FC. Ricketts family do have a strong pitch, but they're so unpopular. To not listen to the fan base when picking an owner would be damaging to the club. Ben Jacobs, you're a wise guy. You're a very wise guy. I fully agree. And I'm about to show you the thread from Ben Jacobs where he goes into all this detail, which I think puts everything on the table for us fans to understand beautifully. So I'm going to give a big shout out to Ben Jacobs, because throughout this entire process, he has been seriously well-read, well-informed, and he's distributed that information so clearly for literally everyone to understand. So simple, beautiful. So Ben Jacobs, well done for everything that you've done throughout this process. I think you've done it super well. But he's right. In terms of the Chelsea board and whoever's in charge of making this decision, to not listen to the fans would be stupid, which is why I was shocked that Ricketts made it onto the shortlist anyway. I've heard a few things, and you know what? I'm gonna address this. A few of your comments, a few of you, the majority agree with how I put it, and, you know, fair play. For those that didn't, because there were a few, they said it was the dad of the Ricketts family that made certain comments in the past, and he's tried to rectify it by releasing that statement and whatnot. But you can't blame the entire family. You can't blame the father, and then, you know what, you can't, because of the father's actions, blame the sons and the rest of the family as well. I agree with that. I agree with that, absolutely. But when you have other bidders on the table that don't have that issue in the first place, and you already know that that family has an influence within it. Yes, the sons and the daughter and the wife and whoever, they might have completely different views. And you're very well, you're correct in saying that. Never blame someone for an action that was made by their relative or their friend, or they've got nothing to do with that. I agree. It's fair to look at it that way. But that dad has a view. And the Ricketts family own Chelsea Football Club. And that influence is there. It's up to the rest of the family to turn him away and go, no, you're wrong. We're not doing that. But why have that in the first place when we can avoid it? You know, that's how I'm looking at it. We have other options here. And even from a sporting perspective, because I've made it clear from day one about the Ricketts, this isn't solely just based on the whole Islamophobia thing. From a sporting view, look at the Chicago Cubs. They're a wreck. They're a wreck. And that's in a sport that they understand, in the country that they're from, that they understand, much more simpler than they would be in terms of soccer or football, the Premier League in this country and how we do things here. They couldn't get it right over there. I don't want him to try and bring them over here to try and get it right here. With Chelsea and the way we've been successful, nah, no thank you. Whereas when you're looking at others, Todd Boehly, good record. Stephen Pagliuca, good record, even though very minor part owner of the Boston Celtics, but still, good record. It's something. I don't want the Ricketts. Everything about them just looks way off. That's just me, though. Anyway, in terms of the detailing, let's get into it. The detailing by Ben Jacobs in terms of how everything stands right now, the bidders involved, and how we all move forward. This is going to be very interesting, so pay attention. Check this out. Been looking into the next stage of the CFC sale. Reign are hoping for close to $4.5 billion. That's very high, essentially double the market value of the club. Offers are more likely to be within the $3.5 to $4 billion bracket. Now, I have to stress something here. I do believe that value is going to include stadium redevelopment. So, yes, the entire thing, the entire bid might equate to $4.5 billion, which would come to about $3.34 billion or so, just over 3 billion, near to 3.5. But I think that is going to include the money that will be used to redevelop Stamford Bridge. I don't think it's going to be, that's the bid, and then later on we're going to have to need more money for stadium redevelopment. I think it's basically a total value rather than just the club and then the stadium redevelopment money later. I don't think that is it. So $4.5 billion might sound like a lot, but when you include the stadium money in it, it makes sense. So we continue. However, shortlisting in this manner and encouraging failed suitors to join other consortium gives the club leverage to potentially get a higher price. There won't be much between offers, so important to stress CFC will judge suitors on other criteria too. Bidders have 2 weeks to present their final offers. That's not a lot of time to do due diligence, which again gives the Ricketts family, who did some in 2018, a bit of a head start. I do want to pause it right there though, very, very quickly, because yes, the Ricketts were interested in the club and whatnot at that time as well, but so was Todd Boehly. Todd Boehly approached Roman Abramovich in 2018 to buy the club and was turned away. So has Todd Boehly done his due diligence as well? I'd like to think he has. But anyway, we keep moving. Once the preferred bidder is chosen, they could then ask for a period of exclusivity to complete the sale, which would typically allow further due diligence and back and forth. But Chelsea want and need a sale quickly, so it's not likely the sale speed once one suitor is chosen will slow significantly. But the reality is takeovers usually take months and CFC are trying to sell at super speed. Once the process is complete, the bid will be presented to the Premier League for the owners and directors test. After the 18-month NUFC saga, I am reticent to call this a routine process, but it is typically quite quick. Now, just very quickly, yes, this would be quicker than the whole Newcastle saga. That only went on because of beIN Sports, Qatar, Saudi, the government. It was a cocktail for a disaster, right? And it eventually got over the line. With Americans coming in, this will go in like half an hour. You don't need to worry. In terms of time, I say half an hour, I'm kidding. But it will go quickly. It will go quickly. And I'm sure everyone is understanding just how quick this has to go through. And it's not necessarily the fault of anyone here. It just has to go quickly. And I think everyone wants that done fast. So it should be okay. It's such an atypical sale, but one thing that could and should be made public is where the money from the sale will go. EPL will have the right to confirm it doesn't go to Abramovich. Looks as if UK government will ultimately decide where the funds go. What we do know is funds from the sale will go to the victims of the war in Ukraine, but no more specifics have been given to date. UK government are expected to make some details public, but the exact specifics allocation we don't know yet and won't under the suitor or fee is locked in. So, I mean, for the victims, fair enough. What I do want to stress is Roman did say that was going to go there anyway. I think the government obviously don't trust him in managing that. However, they could have, I think, just done something and put something in place so then they can monitor and check where that is actually going. But anyway, except for when they needed 30 million from him to keep Chelsea afloat in terms of finances. That's not dirty money, apparently. Anyway, we move. From talking to the parties, there are some key differences in approaches. So this is where we're going to understand every single bidder and what they bring to the table. So let's get into it. Boehly is focusing on connecting with the fan base and modernising the club. He's very value or business orientated and has always been sceptical of Abramovich's original valuation. So that is why Abramovich turned him down in 2018. And I think that was the case because, let's face it, Roman never wanted to sell. He was forced to get rid of Chelsea Football Club. If this whole saga didn't kick off, he would still be owner today. And we wouldn't have worried about anything. He didn't want to sell Chelsea Football Club. He's obviously going to set his price super high because then if someone does actually pay, he'll be like, you know what, I can't refuse that. And if they say no, he goes, great, I didn't want to sell anyway. So I hope Boehly understands that. But Boehly, in terms of connecting with the fan base, modernising the club, fair enough. That sounds very, very good. And when you're about to read what I'm about to say for the others, I think you're going to understand why Todd Boehly is probably best. Let's keep reading. Broughton, Blitzer and Harris have outlined ways to balance Chelsea's books and further globalise the brand. Latter two have strong experience in fan engagement and partnerships. Their Palace links give them EPL knowledge, but also cause all kinds of logistical headaches. So this is about the Broughton, Sebastian Coe bid, right? Now I've read this, I remember. Blitzer and Harris are the main ones coming with the money here, and they're also backed by other people. But Blitzer and Harris are essentially the ones coming with the dollar, right? Although the bid seems to be led by Broughton and Co. That just seems way too mad. But anyway, Blitzer and Harris did have shares in terms of Crystal Palace. And that means they're going to have to dump that in order to acquire Chelsea, which does not look good because, I don't know, what happens in the future if some other offer comes in? Do they have to drop us to then go there somewhere else? Like, it's just not a good look. But, however, in terms of managing this properly, yes, they would have to get rid of their Palace links, and the whole thing just doesn't seem, again, it seems misty. It doesn't seem so clear in terms of how is this actually going to be led. Is it Blitzer and Harris or is it Broughton and Co.? And again, having to drop Palace for us, yeah, that might work out, but it doesn't look quite good. So, anyway, let's keep going. The challenge is whether EPL want to set a precedent where an individual can just dump shares to move to another club. Is that really a fit and proper move, especially if done at such speed? Legally, it may be fine, but it doesn't sit right. And that's very, very true. In terms of fit and proper, the directors and owners test that the Premier League have to run by any potential owner once any bid is accepted is that they have to be seen as fit and proper. If they are dumping their shares of one Premier League club to jump to another Premier League club, are the Premier League going to look at that and go, yeah, that's great? I don't think they will, because then that doesn't show that you are fit and proper to buy shares at Crystal Palace. So what makes you fit and proper to buy shares at Chelsea? It just doesn't sit right. But anyway, we move. Ricketts family will have to shift their pitch and win over the fan base, but their original focus was on modernising Stamford Bridge. The capital they'd bring is not in doubt, but with the optics of the sell so important, it's hard to see them being successful. And this is where it's clear. Yes, they might want to redevelop Stamford Bridge. Yes, they might want to modernise. Yes, absolutely. But when you look at the way they've done everything at the Chicago Cubs, where they are literally being used as just a financial machine, just for the money, success doesn't matter to them. We can't have that. I don't care if you build the best stadium on the planet. We want success before anything. We want to be there winning trophies. We want to be there competing. Even if we don't win, we want to give it our best and be there in the mix. That's what we want. We're not just going to sacrifice everything just so you can pump and dump. You know, this isn't Bitcoin. We don't we don't want that. So, yeah, in terms of all of that, it doesn't sit with me. And yes, they've already lost the trust of the entire fan base. So to try and win that back, if they think they're going to win that back with a pitch, good luck to them, because I think they're dead in the water. I don't think the Ricketts will be successful. And if they do, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say at that point. Even from a sporting perspective, I wouldn't know what to say. Crazy. But we keep going. The least is known about Pagliuca's bid, a surprise move given he only recently purchased 55% at Atalanta. Like Blitzer and Harris, he'd have to address this. And all parties must not only win over CFC, but present to the UK government. On the face of it, Boehly and Broughton are the leading two contenders. Ricketts family do have a strong pitch, but they're so unpopular. To not listen to the fan base when picking an owner would be damaging to the club, which is what I've already read. But I think it's spot on. I think right now, look, if I'm being real with all of you, I think Todd Boehly's clear. I think he's clear. I think in terms of that consortium and the way they've managed everything so far, it just seems like the strongest bid on the table by a mile. The clearest, the most transparent, has a good vision as far as I'm concerned. The only thing that didn't sit right with me about that whole thing was Goldstein is a Spurs fan. That is it. But look, and we have to be clear here, yeah? When after all of this has now gone down, after the weeks we've seen with all of this kicking off, at the beginning it seemed like a big deal. But when we start looking at all the others and the problems and things like the Ricketts, I look at that as such a minor issue now. So he's a Spurs fan. Look, you better just come in and do your job, innit? You better come in and do a proper job and be professional and do everything in the interest of Chelsea Football Club. That is it. Whether you want to support Spurs or not, look, that's your business. But at the end of the day, thank goodness he's not the sole owner and there'll be people around him, including Todd Boehly, who's leading it. Todd Boehly right now, and I saw some clips and some interviews, and he just seems like, even in terms of Premier League football, owning a club in this country, he seems like he's got some sort of vision in his head and he seems ambitious about it. So I think right now Todd Boehly's consortium are clear. And the best bid on the table by a mile. The most clear bid on the table by a mile. And it seems like the bid that is more in tune with what we've already done under Roman Abramovich. I think it would be one that would be able to continue where we left off. So that's my personal opinion anyway. But that is where everything stands as of right now. So I hope you've felt well informed today, and I'd want to hear your views on it all. Let me know in the comment section below. As I've said, personally, Todd Boehly, I think, is going to get this. I'd be surprised if he doesn't. But we still got time. We've still got until April 11th, where the bids by these accepted bidders that are on the shortlist need to be made. Their final offers need to be made. And I've already seen that apparently everyone is willing to increase. So we're going to see how it all ends in terms of the fight to the death. Who is going to be successful out of the four? We'll see. Let me know who you think the favourite is in the comment section below. I'd love to hear it. And do you see a chance for the Ricketts back? Because after all this, I'd be surprised if the Ricketts are even given another opportunity. Yes, they might put in a final offer, but if they can't, they won't repair their relationship with the fan base now. They can't. It's dead. It's dead in the water. If Chelsea will take that in consideration. I'd like to think. If they don't, I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked. So for me, Todd Boehly, clear. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know. I'd love to hear it. But thank you all so much. Hit that subscription button. Hit that subscribe. Hit the like button if you've enjoyed this. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to be notified whenever I upload. And I will see you tomorrow with brand more information. We'll see what happens tomorrow, and I will give you my view on it all. And if there's anything else kicking off anywhere else at other clubs or anything else to do with football, I will also post my views on here for you guys. So I'll see all of you tomorrow. Have a good one, people. Look after yourselves. Take care.